Hey y'all, welcome back to Correctional Junkie, the podcast where we talk all things correctional healthcare from the inside out. I'm your host, Nurse B, and this is episode 19. Today, I want to talk to you about the Alabama case that is been going on since since January of 2023. It's a case about five nurses that have been indicted about with a young man named Tony Mitchell. Let's get into it. Behind the walls of America's jails and prisons, medical care can mean the difference between life and death. But what happens when that care fails? This week, headlines broke out of Alabama. 5 jail medical staff indicted for civil rights violations in the death of Tony Mitchell, a man struggling with mental illness, locked in a concrete cell, left to die of hypothermia. And the shocking part, he's not the only one. But today on Correctional Junkie, we're talking about the price paid behind bars when medical care fails, not just by inmates, but by staff, by families, and by the system itself. So the Alabama case, Tony Mitchell entered Walker County Jail in January of 2023, already in crisis. He was diagnosed with mental illness, yet instead of receiving help, he was placed in a concrete isolation cell with no bedding, no proper clothing, and no care. 2 weeks later, he was dead. Hypothermia in Alabama, y'all. Now, 5 medical staff have been indicted. 25 people in total, y'all, including jail leadership, are under investigation. This case has become a wake-up call for the entire correctional system. And let's be honest, every correctional nurse, every officer listening right now, you've seen situations where someone should have gotten help sooner, where you knew the system was failing, and your gut told you this is going to end badly, right? Here's the truth. Correctional facilities are not hospitals. They're not built for complex medical or psychiatric care, yet every single day, inmates come in with chronic medical illnesses, untreated addiction, and mental health crises. And who's responsible? Overworked, underpaid medical staff, correctional officers who become the first responders by default, administrators balancing costs against care. When medical care fails, it doesn't just fail the inmate. It fails the officer who has to watch someone deteriorate. It fails the nurse who carries the guilt. And it fails the community that expects justice and humanity behind those walls. The tolls on the staff. Let's talk about you, the staff. When an inmate dies because of medical neglect, it doesn't just end with paperwork. You live with that memory. You hear their voice. You see their face. You replay the moment in your head. Maybe you've had to bang on the medical unit door, begging for someone to respond. Maybe you've had to cut a body down or drag a limp frame out of a cell. Maybe you've gone home with blood on your uniform, wondering if you could have done more. This trauma is real, and it doesn't just go away. Why it keeps happening? So why does medical care keep failing in corrections. So before I even go to that part, the one thing that stands out to me with this young man that died. So Tony Mitchell was 33 years old. He was arrested on January the 12th, 2023, y'all, in Jasper, Alabama, during a mental health crisis. He was held in freezing, bare concrete cell with no blanket, clothing, mattress, or adequate sanitation for approximately 2 weeks. He died on January the 26th, 2023, arriving at the hospital with a body temperature of 72 degrees Fahrenheit, 22 degrees Celsius. His cause of death was ruled a homicide due to hypothermia, sepsis, and medical neglect. Now, the legal fallout and indictments was a total of 25 individuals, including jail leadership, deputies, and medical staff, having now been indicted and pleaded guilty as part of the broad federal investigation into the systematic abuse at the jail. Among the most recent charges, 6 employees, including the jail captain and supervisor, indicted of conspiring to unlawful punishing detainees. You have the 5 medical staff members, including nurses and administrators, y'all, charged with conspiracy of denying Mitchell of medical care in humane conditions. One nurse pleaded guilty to admitting he withheld care because he deemed Mitchell unworthy and feared retaliation. That just bothers me that you felt that this person was unworthy of care. Like, how do we, as a nurse, sign up and deny somebody care, y'all? How do you go to work and look at this individual and say, you know what? You don't deserve any care. How do you come to that point in your career? You know? Or did you already make up your mind before you even, put on your uniform and walk through the doors, I don't understand that. That mindset, that mind frame, where do you get that? Where does that come from? And then the retaliation, he said he feared retaliation. There's that code of silence going on here. This culture in this jail setting, that something was going on. There was a deeper thing going on in this jail that, that everyone felt that they didn't need to care for this individual, apparently. That they all felt they had a right to mistreat this individual, apparently. For this to happen to this patient, to be treated this way, this inmate. I mean, what is going on in our jails for this to happen to him? I mean, this could happen to any of our family members, first and foremost. And as a nurse, it's just a total disrespect for us as nurses, for another nurse to do that, you know. It's just sad. It's really sad. As a correctional nurse, it's really sad that this is where we're at, that we are we're an advocate for our patient, right? We're an advocate first. This is what we do. We take a stand for the patient. We don't back down. But apparently, something greater is taking place, and we're not speaking up. We're not taking a stand for the patient. We're allowing ourselves to be caught up in a culture of silence, retaliation, of allowing ourselves to believe that a person is unworthy of not being deemed to be cared for and allowed to be done that way. And all of this is wrong. 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 When an inmate dies, the trauma is real. And it doesn't just go away. So why does medical care keep failing in corrections? Understaffing, too few nurses, too few doctors, too many inmates, cost cutting for profit contracts that put money before people, stigma, inmates seen as less deserving of care. That sounds a lot like what's going on at this particular one that just happened. Communication or breakdowns. Officers know something's wrong, but medical staff dismiss it, or vice versa. Seems a lot of that right there, too, is what has happened. A huge amount of communication breakdown. This was a perfect storm, definitely. Unless systems change, it'll keep, we're going to keep reading headlines like the Tony Mitchell case, most definitely. We have to stop allowing this to happen in our systems, because there are a lot of headlines like the Tony Mitchell case out there. A lot of them out there. So what can be done? So what can we do? Because ignoring it isn't an option. Staff must speak up. If you see neglect, document it, report it. Don't stay silent. Build bridges, not walls. Officers and nurses must stop working against each other. I see it all the time. We're on the same side, y'all. We have to be a team. We got to work together. Our goal is to keep people alive. Push for training, mental health, medical emergencies, de-escalation. This training saves lives. Protect yourself. Protect each other. At the end of the day, your peace of mind matters. Seek support, counseling, or peer groups when a death or medical failures hunt you. They don't go away. Because if we don't learn from these cases, history will just keep repeating itself. This is what happens. This is real. When medical care fails behind bars, the price is always high. A human life is lost. A family grieves. Staff carry scars. And the system's credibility crumbles a little more. But here's the bottom line. You don't control the system, but you do control your integrity. Stand up when something's wrong. Speak out when silence feels safer. Protect yourself. Protect each other. Because at the end of the day, y'all, corrections is about people. And if we forget that, we've already failed. We've already failed. You got to remember that. All we got is each other. At the end of the day, all we have is each other. At the end of the day, you have got to remember that. I think people seem to forget that. And then they have nothing because they forget that. But you got to remember it. You have to. Because corrections is so much, and it's a lot on everybody. But we have to remember we are a team. We have to work together. We got to lean on each other. Officers and nurses, we're there for each other. We are a family. We are a family. We come in together. We got to leave together. I hope that this episode gave you something to think about. Share it with a colleague. Subscribe wherever you listen. Follow me on Instagram at Correctional Junkie Podcast. I'm on iHeart. If you have an episode or something you want to talk about, look me up. Reach out. Let's talk. Let's share an episode together. That's why I created this, for us to talk, to share. Until the next time, stay strong, stay sharp. Correctional life.